Hey YouTube, thanks for coming back to my channel, Stay Forever True. So today I want to give you all some tips for starting locks. There are certain things that I definitely would have done before I started my locks had I known what I know now. So you really want to make sure that your hair is at the healthiest condition that it can be in. So I would first make sure that you trim your ends. Go to somebody you trust to trim them or trim them yourself. You might have to blow dry your natural hair out just to see where to cut it, but I would definitely say start off with nice trimmed hair. It's very important. Second tip is to moisturize your hair as much as possible, so before locking it. So I would say do maybe if you have to do like hot oil treatments before. I did a lot of those before I locked my hair, or like deep conditioning. Do something like that because again, you want your hair to be in its healthiest state as possible before you lock it. Another tip would be to, if you want to color your hair, do it before you lock it because it's going to be really hard to color your hair like those first 6, like it depends on how quickly your hair locks, but between the first 6 months to a year, like you're not going to be able to color it because you're probably going to like undo your locks if you do all the manipulation. So definitely color before you lock your hair, and also color always takes differently in locked hair because the color has to penetrate through the lock, and then you run the risk of having damage to your hair if you lock it. If you color it after you lock it. So if you want to do anything, color your hair before you lock your hair. That way all you have to color is your roots that are already loose. So that'll be a lot easier to do versus trying to color the whole strand of the lock. Next, this is probably like the biggest thing, is to not use wax in your hair. Now, I will say that the stylist that I just stopped going to, she's great by the way, but I just stopped going to her. But she used, what is it, like that Jamaican black, I'm about to say Jamaican black castor oil, y'all. She used, what is it, the Jamaican Marley twist or whatever. It's like in the black, green, and yellow jar. It had wax in it. I didn't realize it till I went to a store looking for that same looking for the same gel, and I saw that it had wax in it. So but I definitely would say don't use wax, especially not that Murphy's Bees. Don't put none of that in your hair. That Murphy's Beeswax, no, it's gonna leave you with too much product buildup. Like, that's something you want to avoid like the plague if you have locks. It's just too many products. You only need to stick with cleaning your hair and moisturizing your hair. That's it when you first start. Keep it really clean. Watch my video on deep cleansing locks and how I deep cleanse my hair. You can do those same exact things before you lock your hair. Don't do it with little baby locks because you could probably not have any locks after that. It's gonna be a fro. But do it before you lock your hair and once your hair becomes a little bit more mature. So yeah, avoid wax. Also think about your lock pattern. So some people, they want really precise, clear lines in their locks, like as far as the way it looks like when you do styles. Now there's like people do like the bricklaying, or they do triangles or whatever. All I did was take a piece of hair, start doing a 2-strand twist, just take another piece, start doing it. That's all I did when I first started my locks. I did my own locks. I maintained my locks up until about year 6 myself. So no, year 6 or 7, I don't know, but I maintained them the whole time. I say take a piece of hair and make sure you just at least have the same amount of hair in each lock and do it that way. Just randomly pick it, because your hair is going to look fuller when you do that. Versus when people do like the bricklayer, or if they're just like so precise on the lines, that to me it just makes it look like sparse, like you don't have a lot of like locks on your head, especially if you already have kind of like thin hair or medium to like thin to medium hair. If it's not that coarse, to me it makes it look way too thin, but it's up to you. Some people want a more manicured, tailored look, so just look through different locks, look at people, look at their locks, and kind of get an idea of how you want your lock pattern to be, and then try to model that. Of course, it's going to be totally different with your locks. Like if you look at my lock journey, 8 years of loc growth, if you look at that video, I had to at some point combine a lot of my locks because my hair was, I had started my 2 strands off real small, and I had to combine a lot of them just to make my hair fuller. So look at lock patterns if you want. Also, try to reduce the amount of manipulation to your hair. So your ends, the ends of your hair is going to be the most fragile because it's the oldest part of your hair. So I know I had this habit so bad. So I would just have my little 2 strands turn into locks, and all I would do all day is just keep touching it, keep touching them, keep pulling at them. I know some people, when they first have like their new locks, they twisting it, they doing this all the time. That's adding too much manipulation to your hair, and it's going to aid in the breakage of your hair. So if you can at all possible, just try not to touch your hair too much. I know it's hard because it's just there and it's just something to do, but try not to touch it too much, especially when it's dry. Another tip is when you do finally decide to start retwisting your hair, well, let's kind of back. Keeping your hair clean. Keeping your hair clean when you first have locks is so important. Now, the first, I would say like 3 months, I can't even say 3 months. Maybe the first 2 months. It's a spider. I'll let it live. Just go free. I would say like the first 2 months, I didn't like submerge my hair in water. Now, I've heard of people taking like a stocking cap, putting on their head and kind of wetting their hair and washing their hair that way. That seemed like a whole lot of work that I wasn't about to do. So what I used was Organic Root Stimulator. Their shampoo that they have, it comes with an applicator tip. It was purple and it was like supposed to cleanse your scalp. I would use that, or use witch hazel mixed with like water in the spray bottle and spray that on your scalp, and then go through with a damp rag and go through each section and try to get the excess off your scalp. That's a way to wash and clean your hair when you have starter locks and you don't want to submerge your hair in water, because if you submerge your hair in water and start getting in there and trying to cleanse everything, you're more than likely going to unravel your locks. But you don't want to walk around with nasty, dirty hair. So try that to cleanse your scalp, and then probably like around month 3 you'll be able to actually just go ahead and just wash your hair. So it just depends on your hair texture. Some people, their hair it locks up a lot quicker than others. As far as your first retwist, now when you retwist your hair for the first time, you need to make sure that whatever direction you're going in, that's comfortable for you, because you should, for every retwist, you should go in the same exact direction. So if you're palm rolling your hair, say you're doing it in this direction, and your right hand's going up, so that would be, oh gosh, counterclockwise. Or you go in this direction, that's clockwise. So remember which direction you go in. That way you train your locks to go in that way, versus if you do it one way and do it the other way, your hair, the roots are not going to retwist that well. The roots are not going to start to lock and get into the full, it's not going to start to lock easier, because one minute you're going this way, the next minute you're going that way. So basically it's kind of like you're unraveling the lock when you do that. So keep going in the same exact direction every time, and just be cognizant of that, when you first start retwisting your hair. So for the first retwist, it really depends on how your hair looks, as far as when you want to do your first retwist, how often you want to retwist. For me, when I first started locking, I think I retwisted my hair every 2 weeks. And then eventually, once it became more mature, I just did it once a month, because you don't want to do, like, some people retwist their hair once a week, every week. No. That goes back to what I said about reducing the amount of manipulation to your hair. That's just way too much. Even 2 weeks is way too much. You might want to do every 3 weeks. You don't have, you just have to sometimes go through having your roots, okay? The roots out there, you just got to go through that, okay? That's just part of the process. It's just part of having locks. Doesn't have to always look so put together. Another thing that I made a huge mistake on is I did the palm rolls. I did that, and then I watched a YouTube video and I saw how somebody did the interlocking, and so I started doing my interlocking on my hair. Then I stopped doing that and went back to doing the palm rolls. What that does is it actually creates a part of your hair that is weak, and a lot of my ends have come off because of that. Something I did way back years ago. A lot of my ends have come off because I did the freaking interlocking. Now that's not to say that interlocking your hair is not going to work, but if you're going to do interlocking, do interlocking. If you're going to do a palm roll, do palm roll. Don't go back and forth with that, because it can cause breakage to your hair. At least I know it did with me. So some people might have other opinions about it, you know, but for me, that's what happened. So that's really the tips that I have. You know, keep your hair moisturized and trimmed before you do it. Get in the healthiest state you need it to be in. And also look at your diet too. That's a big part of making sure that you have healthy hair. And do that. Be cognizant of the pattern that you want. But be aware, just because you do your hair exactly how somebody else does it, it might not come out exactly as somebody else's. I mean, we're all unique as far as our hair and all that good stuff. Try not to use wax, and if you're gonna color your hair before you lock it, just to get the best color payout. And that way all you have to do is color your roots, which is really, you know, to me that's the best thing to do, to just have to color the loose hair. And the color will look a lot more vibrant if you do it that way. Reduce the amount of manipulation on your hair. Don't be having your fingers all up in there finding something to do. Just leave it alone. And also, when you retwist, twist in the same direction. So I hope these tips helped you. Check out my other videos that I have on my locks. If you have any other questions or videos or ideas that you want me to go over, let me know. Remember, whatever you do, stay forever true. Peace.